One quiet evening in Hollywood, the studio lights of The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson glowed brighter than usual. The audience whispered with excitement. That night's guest was not just a movie star, he was a legend. John Wayne, known across America as the Duke. Behind the curtain, John Wayne stood silently. He wasn't nervous, at least, not the kind of nervous people expected from a cowboy hero. But tonight felt different. He adjusted his jacket slowly, thinking about the long road behind him, dusty western sets, endless travel, and the weight of being America's strongest screen icon for decades. Then he heard the introduction. And now the one and only Duke himself, John Wayne, announced Johnny Carson. The audience exploded into applause, clapping hands. John Wayne walked onto the stage with his famous steady stride. Johnny Carson stood up immediately and shook his hand warmly. "John," Johnny smiled, "when you walk out here, the studio suddenly feels 10 feet taller." The crowd laughed. Wayne sat down slowly, tipping his head slightly. "Well, Johnny," he replied with a soft grin, "I've walked into a lot of towns before, but this might be the friendliest one." The audience cheered again. For a while, they joked about old Western movies, horses that refused to cooperate, and the first time Wayne ever forgot his lines. Johnny teased him gently, and Wayne played along like an old friend sitting by a campfire. But then Johnny's voice softened. "John, you've been America's hero for a long time. Does that ever get heavy?" The studio grew quiet. Wayne leaned back in his chair. For a moment, the cowboy didn't speak. "You know," he finally said, "people see the hat, the boots, the tough talk, but they don't always see the man inside." The audience listened carefully. "I've played heroes all my life," Wayne continued quietly, "but real heroes are the folks watching at home tonight. The soldiers, the fathers, the mothers raising families. I just played the part." Johnny nodded respectfully. "That's a mighty humble thing to say, Duke." Wayne smiled slightly. "Well," he said, "after all these years, I figure it's time people knew I was just trying my best like everyone else." A woman in the audience wiped away a tear. Johnny leaned forward and asked gently, "If you could say one thing to your fans tonight, what would it be?" Wayne looked straight into the camera television. "I'd say thank you," he said simply. "You rode alongside me all these years." The audience stood up in a powerful standing ovation. For the first time that night, John Wayne looked surprised. Johnny Carson smiled and placed a hand on his shoulder. "John," he said warmly, "America's been riding alongside you too." Wayne nodded quietly. And for a brief moment, under the bright lights of the studio, the tough cowboy everyone knew wasn't just a movie legend anymore. He was a grateful man saying goodbye to the trail he had ridden his whole life. Cowboy Sparkles,